Sir, I have broken into your home. Do you wear that every day? Is that supposed to be your military decorations? Like, for which military? You haven't left this place for 50 years. You guys don't get visitors. Have you had a war even? The last 50 years?
Really? So we may see our dream of flight soon? It's going to be a dream come true once you've raised that bomber from Lake Mead.
Your plan worked. The plane floated up. Seemed to be intact.
That's tremendous. I'll transmit instructions to the robots to start packing up the plane to bring it back to Nellis.
How exactly do you plan to get the plane back here?
I just told you, the robots are going to handle it. They'll break the plane down into pieces and move it up from Colville Bay in one shot.
Are you planning on using divisionary tactics to draw their attention? Diversionary?
Exactly. We'll be shelling an unoccupied location in outer Vegas to get their attention elsewhere. By the time they realize they aren't under attack, the plane and the bots will be long gone. The kids wish we were shelling a real target, but Pearl thinks it's wise not to start up a war just as the lady has risen.
Okay, well, I'm glad to have helped.
Hey, I'd better get rolling. Jack and I have a lot of work ahead of us.
These people seem rather fitting for people that the NCR is allying with. They're completely trapped in the past. They're warmongers. They're completely obsessed with bombs. The fact that he sits around in his own house, just always covered in military memorabilia from his past time, I'm just like, that's who. You really literally let that stay as your whole personality, huh?
Crouch walking is hell on my back, boss.
Ooh. Classic Bethesda shelf where everything freaks out. Yeah, that one had weight to it, so I think that was a skill book. I think that's the rule, is that if it weighs anything, it's a skill up. Yep.
Hello, friend. How can Mother Pearl be of help today?
I've spoken to Loyal. The B-29 is on the way.
What you have done for us is a miracle, child. You have fulfilled the only dreams we ever had outside our walls. You are a trusted friend of us all. If there is ever a way for us to help you, child, tell me, and I will make it so.
How did y'all get so fucking boring? You did it, child. You've fulfilled our only dream. We who have gone nowhere in 50 years. We explode all outsiders. Our young suffer within these walls. Just looking awful, just staring off into the distance, pining after random redheads. It's really the only one they've ever seen. There may be a battle in the near future at the Hoover Dam. Can you offer any assistance?
Of course, my child. After all that you have done for us, we would love to help you in the upcoming battle. After all the training in virtual reality, the young ones would relish an opportunity to put their skills to battle. We'll be there when you need us.
I don't like this.
Bye.
Well, we need the supporters we can get. The act of pursuing the ending is a form of encouraging the war to happen on some level. because it'll just hold off forever if you don't. And the war does mean that a bunch of people are gonna die, including a bunch of young people that have never seen battle before. And if you hadn't showed up, maybe never would have. They would have just kept playing wacky video games that imply how cool war might be, but never have to find out the hard way that they are wrong about that. I'm guessing that I'm guessing the video games didn't really communicate the one piece of really important information, which is that war
It's hard to sleep in this place, I tell
is
you.
a failure
Last night, some girl
state.
was pounding on my door all night. Finally, I had to let her out.
If you have war, you already lost. You did it wrong.
Oh, hi again. Can I help you with something else?
The boomers have vowed to support me.
Really? Talk about diplomatic skills. I mean, just not getting blown up was a success. Now they'll only blow up the right sorts of people. That's what matters. That's 3 down, 2 to go.
I visited the Khan settlement at Red Rock Canyon. They can be ignored.
If you say so, consider them filed away under not to be discussed again. That's 4 down, just 1 to go.
I guess that's the takeaway. I guess we're ignoring the cons. I don't know. They didn't really. Nothing was really coming of that, as far as I could tell. And even like, I just went down and visited them, and they're like, "Yeah, if Papa Khan died, I'd be looking to do a coup." I'm like, well, that's a weird thing to tell me, a stranger. Yeah, can't wait to do a coup on Papa Khan any minute now. Yeah. And I'm like, once again, don't know you. But then the conversation just ended. There wasn't like a go kill Papa Khan. I don't know where Papa Khan is or how to find them. So I didn't really see anything else to do there. Alright, so now I think they won't bomb me anymore, which is important because I think the reason we came here in the first place, we were looking for the Brotherhood of Steel corpses, and I think one of them died approaching this place. Seems like a safe assumption given everything that happened. Yep. I have horrible news. Do you have a reaction to this, Veronica? She is leaving. Nope, you're already in the mode for standing relatively close by, I guess. Alright, so that body's the real reason I did the entirety of the Boomer storyline when I did. It was going to come up eventually, but I didn't go there specifically for it. But the entire field, what had the body, was doing an explosion. Which is rude, frankly. They should have considered my feelings more. Yeah.
How may I assist you?
So you're gonna oust the Elder, or on Hardin's behalf, or just work with the Elder?
Your presence here, let's just say it's highly irregular. Outsiders aren't even allowed to know that our bunker's here, let alone come and go freely. You impressed Elder McNamara, obviously. He must believe that you'd be very useful.
It's a bit of a line to just come out with. What would an elder have to do to get kicked out?
So you've been talking to Harden, eh? He's been looking for a way to usurp McNamara ever since the lockdown started. Don't get me wrong, he's a good man. But Elder McNamara has done all right by us. If it weren't for him, none of us would have survived at Helios. I'll tell you what I told Harden. There have been only a few cases of elders being dismissed from their posts in the Brotherhood's history. And those involve crimes that someone like Elder McNamara is just not capable of. You can look it up for yourself if you want. I'll grant you access to that portion of the history section of our data store. See Senior Scribe Ibsen about accessing it.
Tell me about what happened to Helios.
I'm sure someone's told you all this before. Several years back, we were running our chapter out the Helios 1 solar power station. Our elder at the time, Elijah, had some kind of obsession with the place, which is the only reason we stayed as long as we did. That place was hardly defensible, and we knew the NCR was moving in on us, but the elder refused to budge, insisting that he just needed more time. We never found out what he needed time for. Wave upon wave of NCR troopers hit us from all directions. We held out for a time, but we were grossly outnumbered, and they had more men than we had ammo. Eventually, our positions collapsed. Elder Elijah was nowhere to be found, so McNamara took charge and led what remained of us on a counteroffensive west. We lost a lot of men and women, but we broke through and made it here. Make no mistake, McNamara saved this chapter that day.
Who is Elijah?
Who was Elijah, more like? He was our elder before McNamara. Bright guy, but just between you and me, he was a little off. Our mission is to recover and preserve the technology of the past, but Elijah wanted more. He sought ways to improve upon technology, make it better. When we found Helios 1, he was like a kid in a candy store, kept talking about the potential and a grand design never realized. He even insisted we set up our base there, against the objection of nearly every paladin. What followed is a whole other story.
Yeah, I remember him. I beat him to death.
Bye.
Probably shouldn't tell people that here. Hey, yeah, your old leader, I met him. I caved his skull in with my giant hammer. This one. The one I always have. It was easy. Which is probably not the adjective you're looking for. Nope. Where is the computer lab? That's the bathrooms. How does anyone know where they are in here? This way? I think it was this way. I'm so confident. Yeah, okay. Elder dismissal incidents. Incident number 1. Let it be recorded that on this day, Raymond Lorne was dismissed from his post as elder for committing the crime of murder. Brother Lorne was known to have hostile feelings towards the victim, Senior Scribe Ritter. The guilty party insists that Ritter's death was a tragic case of friendly fire. The bunker was under attack at the time, but the tribunal felt that they could not let him persist as elder with such suspicion hanging over him. Head Scribe Busek. Incident 2. Let it be known that from this day, Kenneth Jones... The chain of that binds. I guess this is the important email, because it immediately got a new objective. Let it be known that from this day, Kenneth Jones shall no longer bear the title of elder. Brother Jones has willingly gone against the chain that binds, and has been forced to step down. Head Paladin Lindquist succeeds him as elder. Let the record show that I have stood witness to the dismissal of David James from the post of elder. Brother James was charged with destroying an unknown device recovered from a recent expedition. The purpose and function of the device remain unknown, and Brother James has thus far proven unwilling to discuss the matter with anyone. I wonder what they did that for. Hey, you're actually from here. Do you have opinions? Please?
The whole future of New Vegas seems like it's up in the air. Guess I should wait things out before buying a condo in the Ultralux, huh? It pays like ass, but it's hard to get other work with my skill set. What do you want to know?
And you get to remember what's the purpose, what do you do for them, what's the codex. How do you feel about the other members?
I called them family before. That's not far off. Both the good and the bad. It's like a big, unending family reunion in that bunker. There's people you love, people you'll never speak to again, and it's always awkward when you run into someone you used to date.
Why is the Brotherhood interested in Nevada?
It was the dam, really. We'd heard rumors it was working. Figured we could claim it, put it to use. And it may also have been partly that our elder at the time had worn out his welcome. Didn't end up mattering. We got sidetracked at Helios 1, and the NCR took the dam in the meantime. We're still after it, though. In theory.
What are your goals? Who was Father Elijah to you? We worked at that last time. Do you have any other family in the Brotherhood?
Just my parents, but they haven't been around for a long time. Dad was a paladin, Mom was a scribe. They died in the same battle, trying to hold off the NCR from... something. I don't remember what it was. Guess it seemed important at the time.
Alright, I can't talk to her about the actual situation, which she should have a stake in, so it's kind of disappointing. Be nice if she said anything. Hey, companion I travel with, what is your take on your home and how I should affect its outcome? Because I just kind of walked in here and people gave me their 30 seconds each, and I'm supposed to make like a big call about the future of an entire organization that I don't interact with. It just seems like a little out of place for me, but I guess I'm just not the ideal RPG player if I think that way.
Oh, hey there. Something I can help you with?
One of the data store entries mentioned the chain that binds. What is that exactly?
That's an old principle that's been around since the Brotherhood was founded. It basically means that you have to obey a superior officer. It's pretty much common sense, but it gets invoked a lot when people get pissy about following orders. If you're curious, I'll give you access to the data store entry on it. You'd probably be the first to read it in years, if not decades.
Man, you are very far from the data store for all these. Can I look at your computer? No.
Hey, Ramos.
Time to run all the way back. How is the... Wait. How did an elder get dismissed for the chain that binds if they are the superior officer? Is there an even more superiorist officer? I guess the leader of the Brotherhood or something? The chain that binds. The chain that binds is the cornerstone of our organization, the rock that supports the great tree of the Brotherhood and its myriad branches. It holds that orders are to flow from on high down through the ranks. An order from a superior must always be obeyed, that their wisdom be carried out without hesitation. Orders are to observe the flow and not skip ranks. A superior may only give orders to his direct subordinates and not to those beneath them. In this way, harmony of intent and cohesion of thought is maintained. Only directly below them? I seen the Brotherhood of Steel people, like the Elder, can't give orders to ground troops, basically, because they're not the direct superior of them. Nope.
You look tired, Ibsen.
Where even was Hardin? He was right here, right? Oh. Where am I? Oh, you're walking around, that's why.
What is it, outsider? Have you discovered anything?
You know anything about the chain that binds?
I could hardly call myself head paladin if I didn't. It's one of the first things every initiate learns when they start training. What about it?
Did you know there's a second part to it?
Second part? What are you talking about?
It says a superior is not allowed to give orders to the men under his subordinate.
That is the standard procedure, yes. For example, McNamara gives orders to head scribe Taggart, who then relays further orders to the scribes. I wasn't aware that failing to do so was punishable, however. Interesting. If we can just find an instance where McNamara went around someone and gave orders to their subordinates, we'll have him.
Just this comical rule that nobody remembers even exists and so on? Why do you dislike McNamara so much?
It's not that I dislike the Elder, but I strongly disapprove of his current style of leadership. We're safe, yes, but at what cost?
It seems like a terrible leadership structure, because it seems like it essentially implies that, like, the leader just gives orders to the people directly under them, and then every single subsequent layer of leadership between them and the ground troops is another layer of, like, court level, like, interpretation that can be done. We're like, oh, well, this is my interpretation of how to execute on your goals and so on. You're like, motherfucker, just saying attack the dam. It's not that complicated. What would you do if you became Elder?
After lifting the lockdown, the first thing I'd do is send scouts out to recon the area. We need to know what's going on out there. Next, I'd resume patrols in the near vicinity, and begin sending search teams out to the spots the scouts reported were relatively safe. It's standard procedure when a chapter relocates to an area, but standard procedure wasn't our last Elder's style, either.
The problem is that the Brotherhood, like every other faction, sucks. So, I don't really want them doing stuff, for the most part. They're useful to the extent to which that they will fight the Khans and Caesar's Legion, but outside of that, I kind of want them to stay in their bunker and rot. They seem to not help society in any real way. All they do is, like, grab up technology and hoard it, and hate super mutants, which we know are for a fact, many of which are sentient, and the super mutant encampment up in the mountains is more sympathetic than most of the factions we've met in this game. What do you think of the lockdown?
It's a travesty is what it is. Every second we sit on our hands down here is another second that we're not fulfilling our sworn duty.
And that duty is? Tell me about your last Elder.
Elijah was a strange one. His even becoming Elder was highly questionable, seeing as how he was a scribe. Typically only paladins are eligible. But an exception was made in his case on account of him being a genius. Unfortunately, whatever scientific acumen he had didn't extend to tactics. Trying to defend Helios was a blunder of the worst kind, and many brothers lost their lives because of it. Many of the senior paladins, myself included, advised him to fight a retreating action, but he refused to budge. Said he almost had it working. We never did find out exactly what he was talking about. When the perimeter was finally overrun, the Elder had simply vanished.
Tell me about the Battle of Helios.
Helios was the worst goddamn action I've seen in a long, long career of fighting.
Wow. Cool story. This is as short as it possibly could be. I don't think I want him to revive the Brotherhood. I think them being isolationists and staying in here is probably for everyone's benefit if they just kind of fuck off. Because I don't think he's not planning on changing the ideology of the Brotherhood. He specifically wants to better fulfill their duty, but the Brotherhood of Steel has almost never been a positive force in any of the stories I've ever seen.
Found the missing patrols, or was something else on your mind?
I was hoping to speak to you on other matters.
I can spare a little time. What did you want to talk about?
Tell me about the lockdown.
It's a protective measure that was enacted after our defeat at Helios.
The NCR was hot on our heels, and we wouldn't have survived another encounter. It was decided that we would stay quiet for a time, heal the wounded, and try to come up with a new strategy. However, after we had fully recuperated, our first scouting measures showed that the NCR's presence in this region had only increased in our absence. There are now more than 5 times the number of NCR troops in the area as when we fought them, and we have half the number we did at Helios. And so the lockdown has been extended. To go outside would be the death of us all.
How do you get supplies?
We have some personnel that are allowed to travel on the surface. They trade for what we need and occasionally drop off what they acquire. We make sure that they only enter or leave the bunker while the sandstorm is active, to avoid detection.
What is with the crazy sandstorm on the surface?
That is this base's defensive system. It serves as camouflage and masks all entry and exit from the bunker. We use it to hide our patrols and supply runners, though we still send such out at night to be extra safe. Found the missing patrols, or was something else on your mind?
Yes, here are their holotapes.
They were all dead then. I suppose I'm not surprised. We have few friends in the world above, and many enemies. But we must turn our minds to other matters. When I sent out those patrols, I also sent 3 knights out on scouting missions. When the patrols failed to return, we assumed the worst, and sent a single communication to the scouts to hold position and maintain radio silence. I want you to contact those scouts and gather their reports. Like the patrols, they have devices on them that will enable you to track them. When you find them, tell them you're my representative and ask them if the bears are still hunting. That should get them to talk to you. Return when you've gathered all of their reports.
Yeah, it sure seems like the reveal that everybody on the surface has died would be a good indication not to try to continue their goal. But it is all the more reason for him to hunker up forever. But really, they should just leave. Like, they need to just leave Nevada. They lost. Camping underground for years and years in a country that you already failed in, and now the active waiting is only making the odds worse because your opponents are gaining in power. That means you should leave. You should just go do something else with your lives, which are finite and whatnot. Otherwise, you're gonna be the boomers in 50 years. You just fucking sat there for your entire lives and just wasted them. Pining after the old days. Alright, well, it seems like I didn't find any of these ones this time. So, is one of them inside of the... Oh. Interesting. I didn't really process that the Brotherhood of Steel bunker was so close to this location. Haven't been here for a while. The powder gangers.
Wouldn't mind having one of those little flying robots myself.
Hi, no. Yes? I think I need to go through to the other side. To get to the yard. Is this gonna make more sense? Or is it telling me to go right back in? Nope. It must be like behind this entire facility. So they were approaching the powder ganger facility. How long ago did you tell these people just to sit still? But yeah, on some level I'm kind of used to factions having more like upsides to offset their downsides, but a lot of Fallout factions are whoops all downsides aside from like small towns. Like, we're the people that hang out by the dinosaur. Like, we're pretty chill. Is like the most positive you get. How long is he even crouching here? On orders?
Hello? What do you want? And don't try anything funny.
Elder McNamara's representative. He said to ask if the bears are still hunting. Why'd you point your gun at me just now?
You speak truly, for it is unlikely that an outsider would know both the Elder's name and that passphrase. Very well. I've been observing the penal facility there in the distance for some time now, after having followed some rather disturbing rumors. The facility was run by the NCR for a time, but the prisoners overcame their guards and now use the prison as a base from which to conduct raids. What puzzles me is why these men have been allowed to run wild for so long unchecked. Why has the NCR not retaken this place? Give this to the Elder. My observations are all within. Perhaps he will have a better idea of what this situation portends.
Alright. So now it's going to be revealing... Yeah. There's going to be a widespread read on the NCR that realizes that the bear has stretched itself too thin, and its entire empire is falling apart as a result. It cannot handle everything itself anymore.
Yeah. Time for more fighting. I know.
Yeah, you fuck up that scorpion. Oh. I was here only a few hours ago in the game, and I was noting how, like, even after all this time, the bodies were still up, and they're not now. I don't remember if the pikes with heads were there last time or not, but they left the bodies up for a long time, and everyone was still alive. So I was increasingly like, I don't think they would die if I took them down, if they lived the weeks it's been since I was first here. But now they're all gone. R.I.P.